So I bought a Porsche Cayman. The exact car I ended up with is a 2015 base model with a 6-speed manual. It's in a beautiful spec, I think, of dark blue metallic over Luxor beige. I really just wanted to find a beige interior, but the dark blue paint is honestly a cherry on top. I've had a lot of people hit me up asking if I can compare this car to my old track-built ND2. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. We're going to go out into the mountains, drive it pretty hard on one of my favorite sections of back road that's right down the street from me. And I'm just going to kind of talk you through how is it different to the Miata. Is it better? Is it worse? Stay tuned and you'll find out. So how does it drive? The chassis in this car might be the highlight of the entire car. It is so stable and so balanced. My Miata, being very track focused, was a very sharp car. And the rear end always wanted to come out on you, and that made it very involving, but it also made it kind of tiring to drive. This car, as long as you're keeping a little bit of maintenance throttle on it, has a tendency to want to just do a little bit of understeer. But the amazing thing about this platform is its adaptability mid-corner. If you go into a corner just a little bit too fast, you can let off the throttle and tuck that nose in. And it really allows you to change your line mid-corner in a way that most cars won't allow you to do without getting extremely upset and going to a huge slide. But if you would like to get this thing all sideways, you just trail it in very hard, and that rear will come right around for you, and it's truly magical. While trying to talk about chassis dynamics and drive quite quickly, I feel like I kind of shortchanged the Miata's chassis a little bit. The Miata was so eager to play, it constantly wanted to keep you sideways. And I kind of talked about that in this video like it was a bit of a downer, but in reality, it was a ton of fun. I've never owned a car that was so willing to go sideways and so rewarding when you did it. The Porsche, on the other hand, doesn't really want to go sideways, but it will if you tell it to. That being said, this car's on stock suspension, so maybe that'll change in the future. We'll see. And finally, the last thing I forgot to talk about in this section was the lack of a LSD in this car. This car's on a full open diff, and I kind of thought it was going to be a huge hindrance to me. But in reality, I've kind of hardly noticed it. Maybe it's due to the fact that this car has so much rear grip that you tend to not spool up a rear tire. But even the few times where I have, the car kind of just fishtails like you would expect it to if it had an LSD. I don't know what kind of trickery Porsche's doing here, but honestly, I like it. Alright, now on to the next section. Alright, well now that we're on the downhill portion of this, it'd be a great time to talk about the brakes. The brakes in this car really surprised me. They're completely stock pads, but I put some endless 650 fluid in there, so I don't have to worry about boiling that. And the bite's not the best, but the consistency is perfect. The pedal's always nice and firm, and I've yet to really reach the limit of them. I am trying to be a little cautious since they are stock brakes. But for stock brakes, I gotta say, the Porsche brake thing is still alive and well. Now before we move on to the final thing, which is going to be its rather amazing flat six, I want to go ahead and touch on something that I completely forgot to talk about the entire time I was out there filming. And that's going to be the touch points. If you watched my previous video on the Miata, you know that I think the Miata's touch points are probably the best thing about that car. And honestly, the Porsche is no different. The seat is able to go right down to the bottom so you sit perfectly in it. The steering is super adjustable so you can get it right to your chest, which, newsflash, is where it needs to be. And the shifter is beautifully placed. But onto that shifter. It's not quite as direct as the Miata's. Obviously it's operated by cables and not linkages directly into the transmission, so there's a little bit more slop. But one pro for it is the fact that it always finds its gate. I had the Miata kind of refuse to take a gear a few times, and it really made me question the long-term durability of that gearbox. If you know, you know. Also, more about the steering. The steering has to be one of the best EPS racks I've ever driven. Honestly, it even brings a fight to a few of the lesser hydraulic racks that I've done. It does a really good job of simulating road feel. I don't think it's a downside at all, but maybe that's just because I didn't buy a 987 and I want to feel better about myself. Alright, and the last gripe I'm going to have before going back to the main video is the pedal box in this car is really hard to heel toe on unless you're driving very quickly. Basically, the throttle is just too tucked back. If you're really hammering on the brakes, heel towing's effortless. Like on track, I'm sure heel towing this car is super easy. If I'm really pushing it in the mountains, it's super easy. But I have yet to figure out how to heel tow around town without actually just kind of jerking the whole car around because I have to stab the brakes harder. It's a downside. I don't like it. I'm probably going to buy a throttle spacer. And it's something I wish Porsche kind of got right out of the get-go because it's Porsche. Come on, guys. All right, now once again, back to the video. All right, well now onto the 2.7 liter flat six that's in this base car. It might not be the most powerful thing out there, but it makes one of the best noises ever. And since all of the power's at the very top of the RPM band, it's so rewarding to just rev out. I mean, it is light years ahead of the 4-cylinder that was in my Miata, even if it's not light years faster. It might not be the fastest engine, and so, you know, leaving red lights with Mustangs next to you, you're still going to feel like a pretty slow car. But to me, that's okay. I really get all my enjoyment from running my cars foot to the floor all the way to redline, and this motor allows you to do just that. I'm sure a lot of y'all are going to be very disappointed that the Miata is no longer going to be featured on this channel. But the main reason I wanted to sell it is I needed a true dual-purpose car. And for me, the Porsche Cayman is just that. The large amount of storage space from the honestly massive front and pretty large rear hatch make it to where whenever I'm doing long road trips, I can pack it full of stuff. And that's really important for me, because what I'd really like to start doing for this channel is venturing further and further away from the Front Range of Colorado to explore seldomly driven roads that I've heard very little about. I'm fortunate enough to live out here in the Rocky Mountains, where we have amazing mountain roads at pretty much every corner. But honestly, the car culture here isn't that great, and so a lot of these roads kind of go unnoticed. I'd really like to start going out there and featuring a lot of these roads on the channel and doing like mini documentaries about each road. And the time, the equipment, and the distance that you have to travel for these roads made doing all of that in a Miata sound virtually impossible. So that's kind of where this car came in. It offers every bit of the sports car experience that the Miata offered for me, yet while still maintaining a practical and comfortable package to get you to those destinations. There are a lot of people who are going to say this is a pretty boring and stereotypical choice, but honestly, you can call it boring and stereotypical. To me, it's the right tool for the job. And why would I not buy the right tool for the job?